Hello everyone and welcome back to Dota Kitty. Today we're going to be the reverse flight from last time, going from Phuket Airport, the one where the passenger airlines take off from, to Phuket Airpark, which is where the Cessnas would actually be taking off from. The route is pretty much the reverse route from last time. We taxi onto Phuket Airport, take off from runway 09. The last time we landed on 27 because it's more convenient. Right now we take off from 09 because it's the most convenient. And we just go straight, turn a bit, fly around the mountain, and then at the end of the flight we would actually have to enter a traffic pattern because Phuket Airpark's runway is not oriented conveniently like the one at Phuket Airport. Now this is supposed to be a nice, beautiful square traffic pattern. However, I actually managed to mess it up, did it way too large and way too hectic. I mean, you almost can't identify it. But eventually I did manage to get on the runway. It's really late, but I did manage to land safely on the runway. So, let's jump right in. Okay, so here we are at the FlightGear launcher, and I'm just going to run through the options real quick to make sure they're correct. We're going to be flying with the Cessna C172P from Phuket Airport. I'm going to start from a parking position this time just to be proper. The weather is automatic, set to real life, and let's start the program. It took a lot longer than this to roll in real life. I actually edited a large portion of it out. So don't be surprised if it loads a little bit slower.
Need help? Use help tutorials.
And we're on the aircraft. So I have decided to park next to the building just for real life, and I'm just going to tune the radio quickly to the ATIS and listen to the weather forecast. Just as I said in my last video, this is a constantly looping weather forecast available to all pilots, and all real pilots will listen to this before they even call ATC. So now that we're listening to this, let's start taxiing. Now we don't have a pushback track, so you might be thinking, how are we going to do this? We're just going to turn at max speed around and then just get out of there like normal. Like, it's not surprising, this is a Cessna, we can just turn around really fast. And as you can see, there's actually an AI plane in front that we're just going to go after. This is actually the first time that happened. It's really interesting. And nowhere near the taxi lines at the moment, apparently. Or either that, or the plane is actually not taxiing on the lines at all. So the plane is going to take off from the beginning of the runway. We're a Cessna, we have a lot more performance, and we're going to start at the middle of the runway. So now we're just waiting for the other plane to go, and meanwhile I'm just gonna put in the frequency of the ATC, and there's the other plane coming up onto the runway, and it's just going to throttle up and take off in front of us. Neat, so the plane is now beyond us. We can taxi onto the runway. Now, this is a flight simulator, so we don't actually have to do all of this. Now, for example, I never actually called the ATC via radio, which is what I should have been doing. So I just hit the more key, which tells the spoken ATC add-on to play tower. It actually told me to go to ground first, which, okay, I'll just do that, line up on the runway, switch to ground, and try to call ATC again. Now what actually happens in this case is that it provides a little bit more information and then send me back to tower. So that's a bit confusing.
Contact tower at 118.10 and ready.
So I swap it back to the tower frequency, and then it just tells me to go back to ground anyway. At this point I just decided to give up and rev up the engine and take off immediately without asking ATC for the clearance. And they don't have clearance anyway because I can just dodge any aircraft we want, and there's no wing wake. I think there is wing wake, but I don't think I have turned it on. So we're just on a takeoff roll in Phuket. Right now I'm staying pretty good. on the center line. 60 knots, nose up. A little bit of shake as the rudder resets, and here we go. We're in the air. What a beautiful day for flying. Now it's actually a little bit slow. I really should accelerate to about 70-75 first before like actually climbing out. Now right now I'm actually going to be at 70. And now we're ready to turn right and start our journey towards Phuket Airpark. It's getting pretty fast, so I'm raising my nose a little bit. And now we're starting our turn. So let's just tell you a little bit of a funny story. I originally thought Phuket Airpark was going to be at the far end of the screen right now. It actually isn't. You have to go around the mountain a little bit before you will find the airpark. I had misremembered where the airpark is. You know, I have actually flown this route with a UFO before. Okay, so here we go. We're at the top of climb. And I misremembered where the airpark is. So I tab out just in case it was like behind the panel or something. And I think it's pretty clear from the helicopter view that the airpark is nowhere inside. I was optimistic. I thought that river delta over there would probably be the airpark. And it took a while for me to realize that the airpark is probably not there. So I decided to just turn right and follow the mountain. And boom, the airpark would be there. You would see it upcoming in a minute. I actually have managed to climb all the way to 1,100. I think I accelerated a little bit too. Oh, there's the airpark. It's right in front of us now. I have accelerated, and now we're keeping the speed of 100. We are at the sort of approach phase. It's getting pretty clear. I'm just turning left a little bit so I know how to turn left and approach the airport correctly. We're actually coming at this from, I think, about a 45-degree angle, which is about perfect. But it means that I will have to basically guesstimate how much I'll turn. Either that or look at the compass, which I don't think I'm supposed to look at, but you can. I'll also drop flaps 1, and I'm slowing down to 80 in the meantime. Right now I'm still keeping the vertical speed at around 0, which I really shouldn't. I will actually start a timer this time. I wanted the leg to take something like 1 minute, and I want to descend something like 5,000 feet in 1 minute, which is my usual descent rate. So that would put me like perfectly on point with the runway. But this is where things start going wrong. Right now I'm approximately abeam the runway, but I haven't actually started descending at all. Now, and I started freaking out because the timer is pretty much coming out on 1 minute right at this point. So I thought I should start turning as soon as possible, as soon as we establish. Truth be told, I actually probably should have started the 1 minute timer from this point when I'm abeam the runway, but of course I panicked, started descending at 500 feet per second, and turned left as soon as possible at 80 knots. I think I dropped flaps 2, yeah, I just dropped flaps 2, so at this point I should be reducing my speed to 60 knots while in a turn. And I just turned right, and the runway is largely parallel, which it shouldn't be. Like, I turned a lot, and the runway should pretty much be in my window or in the trajectory I'm turning to. So I'm turning right as hard as I can, trying to understand the situation. And that actually made it worse because it means that I'm no longer lined up with the runway right, and it will soon be apparent that I'm way to the right of where I'm supposed to be. So, okay, I just corrected. We seem to be way too low from the dire situation that we're in. Right now we're still just standing at 60 knots, 500 feet per second downward, so I reduced that descent rate a little bit, level off, try to get a sense of what's going on, and start the descent again once I actually have an idea what's going on. So right now we're basically crabbing into the runway, and we're getting back in the scope of how it should be done. But Alice, I turned too early again. I mean, this is the most eventful landing I have planned. Not gonna lie. And I slowly turn in. The runway's slowly approaching the center, and also slowly approaching the center line. The speed being up to 70 knots with a really slow descent rate, but isn't actually really bad because just look at it. We're really low compared to the runway. This might actually be useful because, as you might remember, this runway is shorter than the one at Phuket International. So any small mistake and you could probably end up going into the mountains on the other side. So here we go. We're on final. Looks pretty aligned as much as we could do. Like in this 10-second short final. We're bouncing up and down. Things not looking really good. Speed reducing almost to 40 right there. And we bring it down. Whee! Touchdown. Okay, so I just cut the throttle and brake as soon as possible. And when the speed is low enough, I taxi outside. Because remember, in this airport, if you go anywhere near outside, it will just stop immediately, and even full engine power can't pull you out of it. So you would have to keep considerable speed to taxi out of it in FlightGear. Of course, in real life, you would either get hand-towed or, I don't know, your engine would probably be strong enough, or there will be a paved segment where you can go. So there we go. Retract the flaps, shut down the engine using the quick procedure. I haven't even completed it yet. As you can see, my blinking lights are still off. And we have arrived at Phuket Airpark. So thanks for watching this episode of Dora Kitty, and we'll see you again next time. Have a nice flight.